Let's go racing. Race number 1, Alinghi Red Bull Racing, Orient Express Racing.
They're gaining time.
You'd have to say Alinghi Red Bull Racing here in a fairly strong position coming down there. French looking late to me from here. Should be quite a big advantage.
We are good to go. We are officially underway on the road to the 37th America's Cup. Alinghi Red Bull Racing, Orient Express Racing, first out of the gate.
It looks to me like Orient Express aren't really firing on all cylinders. Something's not quite right in the boat, and hopefully we'll hear from them soon.
Let's go into the water. Chase 0. Peter Lester, what did you make of the start? Everything okay with both boats, you think?
Yeah, I just think the French were late and probably they paid the price procedurally. It's so important to be very accurate in pre-start, but I just think the French probably had issues getting their time on distance right for that entry, but we've seen they've got good pace. They'll be trying to just claw back vital boat lengths as they go up leg 1.
Pretty straightforward manoeuvre here for Alinghi, just hitting the French here, keeping in between them and the mark. It's a pretty straightforward match racer here from them. The French have really got not many options here apart from just trying to keep their air clean and actually keep in touch and try and claw back a little bit of ground by sailing the boat accurately from here.
Heading into gate 1 for the first time, it will be Alinghi Red Bull Racing. Confident start for them as they head to that top gate. And the one thing you will see and notice at the bottom, you'll see the speed. You watch those speeds rise when they head downwind. Followed through by Orient Express.
Well, we had 8 tacks on that first upwind, Stephen. Plenty of work for the cyclors and a real classic match racing move.
So the one thing we did warn you about was downwind the speeds would crank up, and as you can see, they're already sitting to 43, 44 knots downwind. We can let you into a little bit of a secret that when they get going, we have already cracked the 50 knot mark, and oh my gosh, that is so exciting.
Well, you look at 12.6 knots of wind and they're doing 43, 41, 42 knots of boat speed. Pretty incredible to be doing over 3 times wind speed in these conditions.
If you were a fan of the America's Cup and you watched it in Auckland, I'm sure your draw is dropping here. I mean, what a transformation. They seem faster, more manoeuvrable. How radical do you think Alinghi is? Look at her. She looks like a machine.
Very impressive at how aggressive they've taken this on in this America's Cup. They really, were new to the table, very much so in the design, and I think they've done a brilliant job with what they've done. So really exciting to see some differences between the boats, and who knows, they're a strong team. They could have nailed it on the head. It's really, really pleasing to see.
Yeah, they've been fast on this run, taken nearly 100 metres from the French team.
So approaching the bottom gate for the first time, Alinghi Red Bull Racing with that around 200-metre gap on the French, and they go around. Watch them go around, both boards down and back up, and the port cantarm comes up and they're off again, followed around by Orient Express Racing. Looks easy, it can actually be quite difficult.
Yeah, quite difficult to turn these boats. You're basically trying to do a hairpin turn with 7 tonnes of inertial mass all trying to go in a straight line. So those foils really having to grip the water hard to turn those boats, and both teams doing a great job. So Orient Express Racing made up a second on that downwind from the top mark, so they're not dropping back. So they're actually, if they can keep their bow clear and sailing clean air, they might be able to chip away. If they can mow the boat well and sail it accurately and stay in touch, the race remains open.
Let's go to chase 0, Pete.
Yeah, both boats are coming across directly on starboard towards us. It's just interesting. The French are up to windward and they're holding lane really nicely. Alinghi were strong immediately off the tack, probably when they got in that little fresher breeze, but I'd be thinking there that the French have made a nice little gain coming across on starboard.
Well, you might suggest, looking at the numbers, that they have picked up about 80 or 90 metres, the French, on that bottom mark where they were about 200 behind. So this upward leg has been a strong one for Orient Express Racing as we head towards the top mark and we'll get to the halfway point of this race.
Yeah, really nice tack there by Orient Express Racing. They'll be really happy with that, and just need to lock the boat in, get it really dialed in here, and you know, they won't be too far out of the picture. So it's all about millimetres in these games. So all the little movements, all the little trimming that the boys will be doing, the cyclors powering those hydraulic pumps to adjust all the sail plan. It's a real choreography that they need to get dialed in to get these AC75s around the track cleanly.
I'm just seeing a slight drop in the pressure in the wind speed, and I think through that lighter phase, you know, from the bottom mark to about where they are now, it just looked like the French had a little bit better pace on leg 3 coming up to the stop mark.
And that gap is just slightly extended, but the French are not letting them go. They're just hounding them. Alinghi Red Bull Racing around the top mark and completing the halfway mark of race number 1 in the Louis Vuitton preliminary regatta. What's the gap? 13 seconds. It was 12 seconds the last time, so marginal.
I think you'd have to say there was a little bit of snakes and ladders on that last sort of upwind and downwind, so both teams, you know, pushing really hard here to sail the boats well, and the French team are really going to need to pull something out of the bag here to claw the team of Alinghi Red Bull Racing back. A very, very even in performance looking at this stage of the game. I've got the French team sailing up the exhaust pipe a little bit here of Alinghi Red Bull Racing. Just a couple of little gains there to the French coming down here. Possibly pressure related, but the gap, I think, is not quite as much as it was at the top mark. So really interesting here as they're coming down. Definitely some puffs and lulls on the course. You can see the darker patches in real life on the water, but we do have the advantage now of being able to see it real time across the whole course. And I wish I had that on board when I was sailing back in the day.
Alinghi Red Bull Racing again, lead in Orient Express Racing to complete leg number 4 of this opening race in the Louis Vuitton preliminary regatta, heading towards the Louis Vuitton 37th America's Cup. And around they go, they take the left marker. Alinghi Red Bull Racing, both boards down.
Having a look at the breeze here, we've actually got the French lining up this puff that's actually coming down the course. That darker green and then into the lighter green, that is more pressure. Where Alinghi Red Bull Racing are, you can see there slightly lighter phase as they go across. So it'll be interesting to see how the snakes and ladders work out over the next sort of minute or so here as they go upwind. The French look like they're really ripping through that puff now, so they've got the hammer down. Fantastic shots on board there of the aero side of the boats, and then the French again having to clear their air, just get a nice fresh lot of air under the sail plan again. It's really, really classic match racing here. Alinghi Red Bull Racing not giving the French anything. They're just saying, sorry boys, you're going to be eating some dirt for quite a while.
We are experiencing sailing like we've never seen before, at speeds and competition like we have never seen before. And Alinghi Red Bull Racing are about to get the first point on the board in the Louis Vuitton preliminary regatta. They have done it well, and there they go. They cross the line, and Alinghi Red Bull Racing will take the 1 point for the win against Orient Express Racing.
What a solid performance. You know, 36-second lead there over Orient Express Racing, and you know, they take the win here in race 1.